Yeah, I love this theme song, and I miss this TV show desperately. Call me old school if you want to. The old Johnny Carson Tonight Show theme song, Doc Severinsen. We're using it to play in Mike Hughes from MikeHughes.tv and LSJ.com. He is one of the most accomplished television writers, certainly in America, wouldn't you say? That's not an overstatement, is it?
I like that. You didn't say universe, so that's safe enough. Yeah.
Okay. Well, with the internet now, I mean, you are out there in the ether, right?
Yeah.
All the way to Jupiter and back.
Right.
Do you think that Ben Quayle went too far in his television commercial?
I got to introduce him to the history of like Warren G. Harding and people like that. If you talk about, we can give him a list of the 20 worst presidents in the U.S. And frankly, none of them have even been in this last century or so. There's been, I remember there was one, and I can't remember if it was Grover Cleveland or someone who would take a nap for 2.5 hours every afternoon.
Pretty good.
We used to have a lot of presidents. I can't remember which one was Millard Fillmore and which one was Chester Arthur, but there were some presidents who barely seemed to know they were in office.
Well, Congressman Hoekstra is right about one thing. The spot does cut through the clutter, doesn't it?
That's funny about primaries, because primaries, you go for your people, you go to get the nomination, and then all of a sudden, once you get the nomination, it's, you have kind of got 80% of the people against you. Like it says, you've won the primary with 20% of the people. How do you get the rest of them?
I would think the people that show the Detroit Tiger baseball games are really crying in their beer these days.
This was going to be a great year for the Tigers, and ratings were going to be sky high. They were going to be able to sell stuff like mad. And this second half collapse, which has really been sad. So many things that were out of their control, and you just feel, you just look at that, and this was going to be the big year, and it's not. So we'll see about next year.
Yeah, I mean, and they were in first place by a game at one stage just before the All-Star break. And I got to think, that the bar owners and the people that like to show the games on TV and the television outlet, I think it's Fox, that shows these games, must just really be disappointed.
Oh, there were so many things that went just right in the first half. I mean, career year for Cabrera. People had never even heard of Brendan Brosh a year ago, and now all of a sudden he's going like mad. Then everything was right the first half of the year, was wrong the second half of the year. Just one of those things that shows how human nature can just go up and down like that.
You're just back from California. How long were you in La La Land? 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Where did you stay this time?
Right at the Beverly Hilton, the one that Merv Griffin used to own. As a matter of fact, it's now on Merv Griffin Drive there.
Is it right in the heart of the action? Huh?
Oh, and it just feels like old Hollywood. It's the place where he used to have his Coconut Grove nightclub, and still got Trader Vic's there. It's got one of these classic Hollywood pools, kind of the long, lean one like that, in which, incidentally, nobody was ever in the water except me. Go figure. I don't know.
What's that guy doing in the pool?
Yeah, and it is much cooler there than it is here. It's baking hot here, and out there it was often too cold to swim. But it's great to be out there.
You're supposed to just sit by the pool with a telephone, right? In a robe?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's how it works in glamorous old Hollywood. I saw that Entourage is going to be wrapping it up next summer.
Yeah, they've always wanted to finish up and probably make a movie. It still isn't definite. I mean, it's obviously something that makes an easy movie because it's big and bright and flashy and so forth. And Entourage is not a big hit. I mean, it even follows. Well, it's done okay, but it follows Hung, the show set in Detroit, which is a bad show, actually, got the better spot at 10 o'clock, and Entourage is kicked back to 10:30. However, things could perk up in a hurry because coming in September, HBO has the best show it's had since Sopranos, which is called Boardwalk Empire. And it is a great show. It's going to be at 9 o'clock on Sundays, and that should help Hung and should help Boardwalk Empire. We shouldn't be surprised at how good Boardwalk Empire is. It's produced by Martin Scorsese, who directed the first couple episodes. It's set in Atlantic City, just as Prohibition begins. I mean, it has everything. It's a big, spectacular canvas. But when I saw the first episode, it was even better than I thought it was going to be.
Really?
Yeah, and that starts right away September 19th on HBO.
Martin Scorsese producing a television show?
Well, he's produced...
is he dipping down in class?
No, he does movies at the same time and so forth. And there was just something about this canvas that impressed him. I mean, as he says, it's kind of like the Goodfellas era and stuff.
I'm imagining
like that.
texture.
Yeah, it just feels so much. Let's face it, he loves gangsters. This is a kid who grew up in New York City at the time where he was so asthmatic at that point that he couldn't go out and play that much. So he'd look out the window and admire the gangsters and the mafioso, the small-time mafioso.
Larger than
outside.
life.
Yeah. And so that's why he made films like Goodfellas and all the De Niro films. But this is the same thing. It's the era Prohibition comes to and suddenly in Atlantic City, a lot of small-time crooks turn into big-time crooks.
This is
he just loves that
pre
era.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I was in Atlantic City a couple of months ago, and I was there for a day or two. It's surprising to me. It's kind of becoming revitalized in certain spots with some of the big names coming in and creating new casinos and nightclubs and all that sort of thing. But there is an element there, certainly, of, I don't know how you put it, but it's a textured place.
Yeah, and that's what you have. The sudden smell of opportunity. It was just like the early days of Las Vegas. Suddenly, here's prohibition. You know that drinks are illegal. Thereby, anybody who does anything illegal is going to prosper, and it's everybody scrambling to get their piece of the pie. And it just it looks like it's going to be. Matter of fact, this is interesting. It's the only really great show I saw this coming season. I saw a lot of good shows, but usually you get 3 or 4 great shows a season. This last year, you got Modern Fellows and Glee and the Good Wife and so forth. This year, I'd have to say that's the only great show.
Wow, Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
That's the one. I've been seeing trailers for something called The Event.
Yeah.
Very mysterious. What's that?
That's a good one. It's an attempt to do a large plot thing, a conspiracy thing. Very ordinary guy, played by Josh Ritter, John's son, who is a terrific actor himself. Mm-hmm. And he's, going on his vacation, and all of a sudden everything has changed, including his wife's gone, and they claim she's never been there, and everything else has changed. And he seems to somehow be involved in some plot that could involve presidential assassination, all kinds of things. We don't know the whole thing about it yet because it's that kind of a mystery. It's going to be in the spot that Heroes was on, 9 o'clock on Mondays on NBC. And it's one of the, like I said, there's no great shows on the networks, but it's one of the good shows on the network.
Does that use the Lost formula, sort of?
It's very, it's very, as they put it, they're serialized. I mean, really, TV is always torn between the two kinds of shows. Serialized, where you have a big arc and you kind of follow it from week to week, and the shows where you catch a crook at the end of every hour. And, CBS has made a fortune by catching a crook every damn hour, no matter what. They just
Law and Order type shows.
Oh, constantly. That's what made CBS successful. They got all the CSIs and so forth. But people are still looking for the next big Lost. And, for instance, the show The Event will also be in the time slot that 24 was in. That kind of a thing where you follow it from week to week. So, yeah, there's no doubt that once you see the first hour, you'll see the second hour. So their trick is to get people to see that first hour.
My appearance on TLC, the Learning Channel, is, I think it's going to be next Friday.
Okay.
I'm talking to the PR people and trying to get an advance copy so you and I can have a look at it before it comes on.
Okay.
I'd like to do that. I'm waiting for them to tell me, but I'll let you know. And you tell me that TLC is among the big universe of all the cable channels is pretty good, pretty well viewed.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've done, once we've gotten into this whole thing about reality shows, they're one of the many networks that get into reality shows, and they've had some success with it. And, of course, the biggest success is with Kate and John Gosselin. You know? So, it's great that it's like Kate Gosselin and you sharing a network. That's
Kate
great
plus 8 and MPS.
That's right. And that formula has worked for them. They've had the gentler shows. They don't have the extreme reality shows like some of them. And for now, that works. And for now, I'll tell you, the networks of resisting, they don't go into a lot of reality shows, but across that cable span, there's a bunch of them. Matter of fact, we met the cast of Jersey Shore out there.
Did you?
They're a colorful bunch, boy.
What do you think about this Levi Johnston now? He's going to have a reality show, and I'm told that some of the executives are not too excited about it. Loving Levi, and he's going to run for mayor of Wasilla. Sarah Palin used to be the mayor?
It's funny. When Bristol Palin broke up with him yet again, she said he's obsessed with fame all of a sudden. And that would kind of be a sign of it, if you're going to have a reality show in which you're running for office.
What is he, 21 years old or something like that?
Yeah. To me, it kind of cheapens the whole notion of politics. But it just shows you that people want to grab anything they can for reality. Matter of fact, Sarah Palin has her own reality show coming up, but this one looks like it's going to be a very classy one. It's going to be on, I believe, A&E, and it's produced by Mark Burnett, the guy who does Survivor and so forth, and it's simply called Sarah Palin's Alaska. And I think that will probably, just because Burnett's involved, be a quality show that'll be well done. Levi's show, I don't know so far. We'll see.
Loving Levi.
I'll tell you one thing. He is a good-looking guy, and it never hurts to have a good-looking guy. As a matter of fact, here's what's interesting. His generation really, really is obsessed with reality TV. So we talked to people in a show which Michigan people will really find interesting because it's a show about a family that lost its homes, lost its jobs, and so forth, and it just tells how they are working, getting by in a tough economy. They happen to be in Arizona, but it's the same deal that we're all familiar with here. But we asked how the show got started, and it was their teenage daughter, 17 or 18. She said she looked around and she said, hey, I think our family's more interesting than those people on TV. She talked it up, and sure enough, now her family's a reality show. Well, that's her generation, and which is the same as Levi's generation. They grew up watching reality TV, and that is their reality.
Be careful what you wish for when you invite those cameras in. If you have questions for Mike Hughes about your favorite TV show or the fate of it, you can call us at 888-900-9966, 888-900-9966 right now. Any questions about television, the upcoming season, or reminiscing about some of your favorite shows or actors or actresses, the phone number is 888-900-9966. While you were out there, I noticed, too, that HBO said that Larry David can keep making Curb Your Enthusiasm as long as he wants to.
Yeah, and he will, and he'll do it as he feels like it. He is making them know right now, for whatever reason, he's shooting in New York the next round.
Oh.
We kind of were afraid that the last one would be the last round because it was the one that set the Seinfeld reunion, and it was a logical place to stop. But now he's decided to make some more. So cool. He makes as many as he wants to whenever he feels like it. And on HBO, that works. That's one of the reasons HBO is a success.
Flexible.
Yeah, you don't run around and say, I got to have 22 episodes, and they got to start on September. You
know? Who will be the next judge on American Idol? Is it going to be Jennifer Lopez, Mariah Carey? What's going to happen there?
It looks like J-Lo will have one spot. Randy Jackson will have probably be back for the second spot. And the third spot, people keep arguing Chris Isaac, Steven Tyler, and so forth. I still would have liked Bret Michaels, but apparently I've lost that round, so we'll see. And they hopefully will be back to 3 judges, I hope. At least the new guy in charge, Nigel Lithgow, prefers 3 judges. Nigel, incidentally, has his finale tonight for So You Think You Can Dance, which I think is the best show of the summer, honestly.
Well, Louise Gradwell here is a dancer, so she watches that very closely. And right in the demo, I would say, young female. We'll be back with Mike Hughes, MikeHughes.tv, LSJ.com, and your questions at 888-900-9966.